Hello and welcome to Apostolic Voice, the podcast. This is your host, Ryan French, and today I'm joined by my brother, Jonathan French. We're going to be talking clothes. We're going to be talking leadership. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the article from Ryan A. French, an old article from 2016 called Consistency, 16 Keys to Outstanding Leadership. And we're going to be critiquing our own leadership struggles and our own leadership strengths. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And you might find some things that help you in that conversation as well. If you want to jump over to ryanafrench.com, you'll find that article. It'll be the top post at ryanafrench.com, and you can look at that and follow along with us. And we're excited about it. We're going to have a great time today. Also, I want to announce that we're shipping books out. So we're going to be announcing a winner very soon for who is receiving the book Light in a Dark Place by Carlton Coon Sr., and we're going to be announcing that winner very shortly at the Facebook page, the Apostolic Voice Facebook page. If you haven't done so already, that's a great way to connect with us. I know it shows our age. We're not really great at the what's the other one, John? Instagrammy or Grandma Insta? Instagram. We're not great at Instagram. That makes us old, I know. My daughter says the only social media worth looking at is Instagram, but I'm too old for that. So go to Facebook and look up the Apostolic Voice page, like our page, follow our page. Everything that we do goes there. So jump on that, and you'll be blessed by that. Also, if you want to support this podcast, there's two easy ways you can do it. You can support us financially, and we really do appreciate it when you do. Just go to anchor.fm/apostolic voice /support, and you can support us for as little as 99 cents a month. That's just $12 a year. I don't know, what is that, 2 Starbucks maybe? Maybe 1 Starbucks these days. I have no idea, but do that, and we appreciate it. But if you don't want to support us financially, or if you just can't support us financially, jump over to iTunes in the podcast section and find Apostolic Voice. Leave us a 5-star review. 5 stars is the only acceptable stars. Anything less than that, and we're not sure if you can go to heaven. So 5 stars, and it doesn't have to be a long review. You don't have to be real verbose, or you don't have to write a whole big long thing. You can if you want to, but just write something short. What that does is it just makes sure that people can find us in the iTunes search engines. It gets us on recommended lists. So when people are looking specifically for religious programming or Christian programming, our name will come up at the top. So please do that. We appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Stick around. We'll be back in just 1 second.
Yeah.
My brother Jonathan is a bass player extraordinaire, tremendous husband, father, great Christian, entrepreneur, business owner. He has his hands in all kinds of different business ventures. Primarily, his passion is Jon Austen, where he makes custom suits and ties. I know he's going to tell us a little bit about, at some point today, a little bit about how he's launching his own line of ties, which is very exciting. And John, it's great to have you here today. Thanks for being here at Apostolic Voice.
Good to be here with Ryan.
We're going to be looking at Consistency, 16 Keys to Outstanding Leadership. John, I know that you've been a business owner, and you've done hiring and firing, and you've been in management and all kinds of things like that. And you read a lot of leadership books and business-oriented books. At the blog, I do write sometimes about leadership, and I wrote this one years ago, and it's resonated with a lot of people. It always makes me think of you, and I'm not trying to make your head blow up or anything like that, but you are literally one of the most consistent people that I know. If John says he's going to be somewhere, he's going to be there, and he's going to be early. If John says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. He's a consistent leader. He's a consistent Christian. He's a consistent father. And I appreciate that about you so very much.
Appreciate that, Ryan.
When it comes to leadership of any kind, consistency is a vital component of success. You can be highly gifted, you can be crazy talented, you can have PhDs, and you can have all kinds of accolades, but if you're not a consistent human being in the simple areas, I don't even just mean consistent in difficult things, but just in the little things, it's very hard to be successful, especially in leadership. And I see a lot of leaders who could be much higher performing leaders than they are, whether it be ministry or secular leadership. They limit themselves, or they are limited because they're not consistent, and it can be in different areas. We all struggle with consistency in some things, and we're going to look at that in a moment here. We all have areas where we're not strong and we need to get better, and that's why we write articles like this. That's why, John, you and I are going to look at our weaknesses and our strengths, because it's healthy to examine our flaws. It's healthy to examine our strengths and try to capitalize on our strengths and maybe help our weaknesses become strengths at some point. And so I've identified in this article, I know 16 sounds like a huge number. Don't get terrified. We're going to go through it quickly. But we're going to look at 16 areas of life and leadership where consistency can make all the difference between bad, good, and outstanding leadership. And we all want to be outstanding, at least in areas that we can be. So, John, what's the first area that we have here of consistency?
Number one is consistency of time.
Consistency of time. So, John, you and I know, especially when in the secular workplace, when you can have someone who they're a great person in so many ways, but if they're just always late or always wasting your time, that just drives you crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
And we all know people who are dynamic in other ways, but they're just not dependable. They say they're going to be somewhere and they're not. They say they're going to be somewhere at a certain time and they're not. And it's just incredibly frustrating. And if you waste people's time, don't you feel, John, like when you do that as a leader, people feel disrespected by that?
Yeah. I mean, because everybody, time isn't something that, it's not something that we have to go buy and then barter and exchange, but it's something that, you don't get back. Like, you have 24 hours in a day. So if you tell somebody, I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to do this for you, and they plan their whole day around a certain event or needing you for that particular thing, and then you bail, it can just messes everyone's day up, or it messes that event up, and they're not going to get that time back.
So I'll give you an example in my life. You probably could give examples too. And by the way, I just want to say, I don't know, when you critique yourself, I don't know if you're going to point to time as being one of your areas of weakness. I know for a fact that Jonathan is our primary bass player here at Apostolic Tabernacle. And so we have practice on Sundays early. Sometimes it's 8 o'clock. Typically it's 8 o'clock. And I'll pull up 10, 15 minutes before 8, and John will already be in the parking lot waiting on everybody else. Like, that's just how John is. He's one of those early folks. But in my life, I have an example early on in my ministry, right out of Bible school. I was in a ministry situation, and I'll just leave it at that because it doesn't matter who or where. But I was working for another minister, and they were very specific. They told me I was to be in the office at 8 o'clock every morning, and that included Monday mornings after a grueling Sunday. So, and I took that seriously. So I would get up, and I'd make sure that I was ready, and I would be in the office waiting for a meeting with this person at 8 o'clock every day of the week, except Saturdays was the only day that we didn't meet at 8 o'clock. And that individual, without fail, was an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours late.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That meeting. And And I was just young and inexperienced, and of course I didn't say anything. I wouldn't have, but it made me feel, as a young upcoming leader and minister, it made me feel incredibly unvalued as a person. It made me feel like my time was worthless. My sleep was worth. It made me feel like that person didn't value me. Now, I don't think that they intended, looking back, this was a good person. I don't think they intended to make me feel that way. But that's what we do as leaders. And it was a good lesson for me, because it would be easy for me to struggle with timing. But I always go back to that, how that made me feel as a young leader. And I've made it a priority in my life. I'm not going to do that to people, because I know how it makes them feel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how many years ago was this, and we're still, it's still something that comes up in your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
It sticks out in your mind. All right. So that's number one, consistency of time. Respect your time, respect other people's time. All right. John, what's number 2 on our list here?
Number 2 is consistency of dependability.
Dependability. When I say a word like dependability, or when you read a word like that,
right.
How do you define that in your mind? Like, what does that mean to you when you hear it?
You'll be there.
You'll be there. So
you'll do it.
You'll do it. If you say it, you meant it.
Mm-hmm.
People can depend on you to do what you said that you would do.
And depend on you to do the best that you can do it when you do it.
Right, yeah. So not only are you going to do it, but you're going to do it the best.
Yeah.
The best that you can.
Yeah, like for example, like when you teach and you preach, like I always know there's an element of consistency with how you present things, and you do it the best you can every time you do it. So like, I know you're going to preach, I know you're going to teach. I have an expectation for what that's going to entail.
Right, that there's a commitment to giving it
the best
that I possibly. My best may not be better than everyone else or someone else, but it's going to be my best.
Yeah.
And people appreciate that. People know when you're giving it your best. It's kind of like we tell our kids, right? I know you tell your kids this just like I do. I tell them, I don't care if you make an A or not. I don't care if you make a B, that's fine. Or even a C.
Right.
As long as I know what?
You're trying your hardest.
That you did your best. If I know that you did your best, you tried your hardest, you studied and you did everything that you could, if it's an A, B, or C, or even a D, if I know you did your best, that's what matters.
Right.
That's what matters to me. And I think that's how people are with leadership. I don't think people really mind if you have weaknesses and maybe you're not the best at something, if they know that they can depend on you to be trying your hardest.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That goes a long way to build trust with people. And really all of leadership is built on trust, right?
Yeah.
Because if people can't trust us, then we have no currency to work with. All right, so consistency of dependability. If you say it, mean it. If you mean it, do it. All right, number 3. What's number 3?
Number 3 is consistency of emotions.
Emotions, yeah.
And temperament.
And this is a big one, right?
Yeah. So
we all have mood swings from time to time.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we never have a bad day. Have you ever had a bad day, John?
Oh, a lot. Mm-hmm.
I had a bad day today.
Yeah.
We all have bad days. And, most great leaders feel things intensely. And so that can cause them sometimes to be stressed. We feel the burden. Our emotions can channel energy and cause us to be creative. But drastic emotional fluctuations, if left unchecked, hurt people. So, like, if you show up to work every single day and you're wondering if my boss or my manager or my leader, if I have to wonder if they're going to be mean that day or nice the next day, that creates a lot of stress, doesn't it?
Yeah, really does.
And we've all worked for people like that, haven't we?
Yeah, many times.
We've all worked for people where it's like, you don't know which human being they're going to be when you show up that day.
Yeah.
That's that's a dangerous environment to live in, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people shouldn't have to worry if you're a leader whether or not you're going to randomly lose your temper or just burst out crying. Now, that doesn't mean that you're never going to lose your temper or you're never going to cry or you're never going to be down. We're not saying that we're robots, but we are saying if you're just wildly, drastically fluctuating all the time, that's a bad deal.
Yeah.
And John, you struggle a lot with just bursting out into tears randomly with no reason.
I just have emotional meltdowns.
No, that's not true at all. But some people do. And the thing is,
I mean, you could really talk about an extreme lack of control as someone that struggles with something like this.
Yes.
Really,
mm-hmm. I mean, it's indicative of a deeper problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
That someone might have.
This is the outward manifestation of some deeper issues.
Deeper issues. Maybe the inability to have just basic self-control is a dangerous deal. And here's the thing, like I'm a kind of a melancholy personality by nature. When you say it's probably accurate to say that everyone in the French family knows that Ryan is a kind of a glass half empty kind of guy.
Right.
You all tease me for that. But I like to think that people know that I'm going to be the same person every time I show up. I'm not going to be a different person. But I know that super creative people, like just think the Psalms, like you read through David, a man after God's own heart, and like one minute he's like, God, you created the heavens and the earth and you know me by name, and then in the next verse he's like, I don't even know who you are, God. Like he's obviously a melancholy, creative person. And sometimes you have leaders that are super talented and they're very charismatic and maybe extremely musical or artistic in some way, but they limit their leadership ability because they can't get control of their emotions.
Yep.
And so this is a good area for people to be or sometimes you have very choleric personalities, like strong, dominant type A people. And they're not bad people, but they have that temper problem. Mm-hmm. And they can't get that temper under control. And, they can be the nicest person you've ever been around. And then boom, out of nowhere, they blindside you with that temper. And, people will only put up with that for so long.
Yep.
And eventually they get tired of it. Okay, number 4. What's number 4? We got to move a little faster.
Number 4
I'm sorry.
is consistency of study.
So leaders never stop learning, and learners never stop studying. Once you think you know all you need to know, you're arrogant, you're irrelevant. We never, ever stop learning. No matter how good we are at something, we never know everything there is to know.
Right.
All right, we'll come back to that. Number 5, consistency of...
Routine. What do you think when I say routine, John? What jumps into your mind? Repetition and organization to some extent.
Yeah, so that's number 6. So we'll just tie those two together, sure. Right? Mm-hmm. So number 5, consistency of routine. Number 6, consistency of organization. Really, you could also kind of tie routine into dependability.
Right.
Because a routine helps you to be dependable.
Right.
And a routine helps you to be organized. So in a sense, we could tie all 3 of those together.
Yeah.
But we're breaking them down, making them a little more granular. What do you think of when you think of routine? Like waking up at the same time every morning? Anything else come to mind?
Yeah. So I have a habit of every time I come in the house, because I hate the idea of misplacing my car keys.
Oh, right.
It drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So I hang my keys every time I come in the house. Even if I'm going to walk back out a minute later, I hang my keys on my key hook in the same spot, in and out of the house every time, because it's a routine that helps me know where my things are. And if I was to break that, it would not just drive me crazy, but I would lose it. Like I would physically lose the keys if I just randomly set them down in the house.
Wow, I need to make a note of that because I lose my keys.
Oh, I know. I find your keys all over the church.
Yeah, it's kind of known around the church that every Sunday I'm going to lose my keys at some point.
Speaking of which, Nathan and I have been talking about producing a media venture about your car keys. Just FYI for the future.
What?
We have a media venture we're going to embark on to kind of a parody of you and your keys.
Like the Adventure of the Lost Keys or something like that?
Something like that.
That's hilarious.
Yep.
Just for that, I'm unendorsing Noteworthy. Nobody listen to Noteworthy with Nathan French. 'Cause what even is that? Is that even a podcast?
Yeah, it's a podcast.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah, I think he's still doing it.
Okay, whatever. No, I'm just kidding. Listen to Noteworthy, maybe. So consistency of routine, consistency of organization. I'm kind of analyzing myself as we go through this. I don't know. Like, I envy people you go into their office and their office is like perfectly organized and they have alphabetized stacks of papers and things like that. That's not me. I'm just going to tell you right now, when we come back around, that's my struggle. But, the thing is, you can be organized in your own way, right?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you can organize. I mean, like, a good example is, my wife, Vera, like, her desk, like, she has a lot of papers and stuff, but in her way, she knows what everything is. Yeah. I look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, but she looks at it and she knows what it is, so it doesn't stress her like it would stress me if I was to sit down to that.
Does she know if you move something? Like, if you move something, would she know it?
Oh yeah, I came in the other day and moved a sticky note off of the corner of the computer that I thought was trash, and she asked me why I took it off the computer.
Shame on you, John.
Yeah, she noticed it. It was literally it was a small one. It wasn't a big one either.
That's hilarious. So you can be organized without being immaculate. I'm not saying that you have to be OCD and have color coded shelving and all of that, but there does have to be some consistency of organization, even if it wouldn't work for other people. Mm-hmm. It's got to work for you, right?
Right.
So sometimes that's just one of those things that you learn over time to do. My wife's always getting on to me because I have this weird thing that I do. I get sermon thoughts or sermon snippets at weird random times, just all the time. I'm just constantly in a state of, praying and studying. And so whenever I get a thought, because I've learned over the years that if I get a thought, and this is true even beyond sermons, like if I just have a good idea about just something in general, I have to make a note of it right away. And so used to, I would have little sheets of paper with me all the time and I'd write notes on paper, and then I realized I lose the papers.
Right.
So I'm like, I know I wrote that down, but then I can't find the paper. So when smartphones became a thing.
Do you send her text messages?
Yes. Do you do that too?
No, I just felt it was coming.
Yeah, I'll send myself or I'll send my wife text messages of sermon thought or something. Then I can go back and I can find it in a text message. Or if there's like a to-do list or something, I'll just randomly text my wife and she'll be like, what's that all about? Yeah. And I'll be like, well, I just need you to help me remember.
Right.
And so,
and then she deletes that text message by accident.
No, thank God my wife is super about helping me with that. And we even have like a thread where it's just like I text it to myself and her. So it's like a group text with myself in it. So I can go back into that group text and see things that I need to remember. And that's messy and it's weird and it's crazy, but it works for me.
No, that's great. I do that to some extent with like elements, like with like grocery, like shopping lists and stuff. I would just send Vera stuff. And she's like, what is this? Oh, I just knew we needed to buy this from the store, so I thought I'd send it to you.
Yeah, so you got to do what works for you. You have to be organized in your way.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. What we got to move. What's number 7?
Number 7 is consistency of spiritual discipline.
This goes without saying for pastors and ministry, but really for every Christian, we have to have consistency of spiritual discipline. So what is that? That's Bible reading?
Bible reading. Prayer. Well, there could be a lot of things, but yeah, Bible reading and prayer, and not just prayer, but, prayer at home and private.
Yes.
Not just like, tonight's church prayer.
Right. Right. Not just corporate prayer, but your private.
Right.
Your private. And as fathers and husbands, prayer with our families.
Yeah. Which I would just be very transparent. This right here is something with my, with Vera and I being so busy, we could implement more things with home that I feel like we, like this is something that I feel like I'm always trying to get better at with my kids.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard.
Well, and your kids are pretty young, so
7 and 3.
Yeah, so Kinsley's 7 and Jackson is 3, and so Jackson is still kind of
you can't get him to focus on anything serious.
Yeah, he's not gonna. But now Kinsley is kind of getting to that point where she can.
Yeah.
When your kids are young, it is harder. It gets easier as they get older. I think. My wife and I have started this thing at bedtime. When we're just about to fall asleep, can criticize us if you want to, but I know people, they get down on their knees beside the bed and they have, but we don't do that, but we just, in the bed, we just hold hands and we'll pray together right before we fall asleep. It's not necessarily 30 minutes. I wish it was. I wish it was an hour, but it can just be a few seconds.
Yeah.
But that's better than nothing, right?
No, yeah, exactly. And again, that goes back to your, a routine. Y'all have a routine every
Try to have a routine. And I feel guilty, just to be honest. I'll go through spurts. Like, there'll be times where I'll pray with the kids. Every single night we'll have family prayer with the kids. And then something will happen that interrupts that.
Right.
Whether it's like we were out super late and we came home at midnight and everyone's just exhausted and they just fall into bed and half dead, and then it's like, for some reason, if that routine gets broken, I can wake up and it's like 6 weeks later and we haven't been praying every night with the kids, and I'll feel incredibly guilty over that. I mean, I'm sure that never happens to you or anybody else, but spiritual discipline is so important. We jumped into like the fatherhood side of things, but as men, we can't lead our families in spiritual discipline if we don't have our own spiritual discipline. So I remember someone saying this in Bible school in the 1800s when I went to Bible school. Someone said, the only time you study and the only time you read your Bible and the only time you pray as a pastor or a preacher cannot be only when you're getting ready to preach. That's the danger for preachers, is that we spend so much time getting ready to teach and preach. If we're not careful, that's the only time we ever pray and study. And I remember that struck me so profoundly, and it's helped me through the years, where I've learned I have to study just for me. I have to pray just for me. It can't always just be praying about a sermon.
Right.
Or I'm not growing spiritually. And if I'm not growing spiritually, I can't lead other people spiritually. And it's the same in our homes. Like, as men, if we're not growing in our spiritual disciplines, then we can't really lead our families in that, can we? So, all right, number 8.
Consistency of
John,
kindness.
why do you talk so much? Because you talk so much that we're taking way too much time. So
sorry, I didn't mean to wreck you.
I'm just kidding. What I just did was perfect. Consistency of what?
Kindness.
There you go.
Yep.
I just demonstrated how to be kind. So, John, you and I can both relate to this. I'll give an example. We grew up, Dad pastored in Chicagoland, and then Dad finished his master's. He wrote Our God Is One, and he became like kind of an international sensation. The book kind of went crazy, and then went to Indiana Bible College and became, he's preaching all over the world, literally.
Yeah.
And, as kids, and even today, we went to all kinds of meetings and things where people may not have known who we were, right?
Right, exactly.
And so I know you've had this happen, because I've had it happen so many times, where someone will be kind of rude to you and unkind because they think you're some random person. And then they find out, oh, hey, you're Talmadge French's son.
Right.
I have specific memories of this as a teenager. And then all of a sudden, like, they were the nicest person. They were kind all of a sudden.
Right.
But I knew they were not truly a kind person.
Sure.
Because you have to have consistency of kindness. You have to be kind to people who can do nothing for you.
Right.
Right? Because
nothing's more frustrating than knowing somebody is chasing an opportunity by their actions toward you. Like, it makes me furious when I don't have something that specific, but I've had this happen many times, and it can kind of weigh you down when this kind of thing happens.
It's very hurtful.
It is very hurtful, because the lack of the genuine nature of that interaction with that person, it's It's upsetting.
It can be hard to overcome that, especially when leaders are that way.
Well, and let me just say it like this: being my dad, and both of my brothers obviously are preachers, and I get a lot. People are like, "Well, why didn't you ever, go into being a preacher?" And I was like, well, "I never felt the call." And
you were like, "I wanted to have money."
Yeah, well, and I'll further the mission, But it's like, when people, like, I've had many times where I've had people kind of look down because on this idea that I'm not aspiring to that, or I've not accomplished certain elements, like my family. And so they treat me different, and that's the consistency of the kindness. Is exactly right.
But you remember the people who weren't like that.
Yeah.
Because you know that people like that are genuinely kind people. I always think of the scripture verse that talks about how you might be entertaining angels unaware. Mm-hmm. Dad talks about this a lot. Our church here, where we're recording right now, is on the south side of Atlanta, and we're kind of on the rough side of the tracks. And so we get a lot of homeless people and a lot of people who come to the church asking for money and food, but typically money. And you can usually tell someone doesn't, they don't want food, they want money. And notoriously, Dad gives money to people. And there have been so many times where I've said, maybe you should be, I don't feel like they're going to use that money for something good. And so many times Dad has said to me, well, Ryan, I never know if that's an angel that I'm entertaining unaware.
Right.
And so I'm going to be kind in every situation to the best of my ability. And that convicts me every time he says that. I'm like, why do you have to be so right all the time? Just stop it. But
always spiritual.
I know. Well, and why do you have to be a Christian all the time? But he really is. It's amazing. And people who are kind to everyone, it shows a real mark of a leader. Why do you think it is, John, that whether it's secular leadership or ministerial leadership, why do you think it is that some people feel like harshness is a strength?
I mean, maybe, I guess, I would think, because a lot of people think, oh, if someone's like stingy with their time or their money, that they have a lot of it, and so they must be successful. Like I think there's a stigma around freely giving money.
Do you think maybe it's like an American? Do you think it's an American mindset that if we're aloof and unfriendly, that means that we're successful?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I've had a lot of times in my life, I've met people that, by their demeanor, I think, oh, they must have money because they're rude.
Because we're kind of programmed. No. We're kind of programmed to think that way, aren't we? Which is really sad.
If you're antisocial and kind of snobby, you might have money.
Or if you're, well, that, and unfortunately, that's the opposite of what God has called his leaders to be, whatever they're leading.
Right.
God doesn't want us to be that way. All right. Number 9, consistency of authenticity. So when we say authentic, what words come to mind?
Like truly yourself, genuine.
Real, yeah.
Yeah, real.
It's kind of a buzzword right now to say transparent, be transparent. I think it's important to note that it doesn't mean that you should wear your heart on your sleeve all the time or constantly, share your deepest secrets or air out all the dirty laundry. But it is important to remember that authenticity is the opposite of fake.
Right.
So
I was just going to say, it kind of just briefly made me had a flashback to what we were just talking about consistency of kindness too, because if you're not, if you run into someone like we were just describing, they're not being authentic.
Right.
So
that's right.
It's kind of ironically the kind of similar.
Yeah. All right. Number 10.
Consistency of integrity.
Oh boy. See, we're going to get bogged down here because integrity is one of those words that, I mean, it can just mean
this
so
is a
many
bigger, this is a lot deeper word right here.
Yeah. Yeah. In the tech world, they use the term integrity checking, meaning they're analyzing the data to ensure that it lacks corruption and that it maintains its internal integrity. And engineers use the term structural integrity about structurally sound buildings. So if a building's not going to collapse, it's structurally sound. It has structural integrity. In Florida, we just saw that big deal. Were you keeping up with that condominium that collapsed?
Oh yeah.
Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah, that was crazy.
So if a building doesn't have structural integrity, engineers say that, obviously that can kill people. And governments use the term territorial integrity to describe a nation or a region that is undivided and sovereign. And so if you take all of those definitions and kind of boil them down and apply it to leadership, a leader who has integrity is continually checking the areas of his life that others can't see for corrupted data, maintaining structural soundness, and guarding against divisions. So the integrity of whatever organization you're leading is going to be a reflection of your honesty, of your virtue, of what you have going on the inside. You know, John, we've all seen leaders collapse, and it's like you didn't see it coming, but it's because they had outward integrity, but no inward integrity.
Exactly.
And you can kind of sense that over time with the leader. Number 11 is kind of connected. What's that? Number 11 is
consistency of core values.
So you got to have core values. I think that's connected to integrity. You got to have core beliefs. Number 12.
Number 12 is consistency of maturation and growth.
Yeah, so we got to keep getting better. I think that we could explore that more, but let's just keep going.
And then number 13 is consistency of fairness.
Treat yourself and others fairly. I mean, that's pretty simple, right?
Yeah. And then number 14 is consistency of creativity.
In business, this is a big deal for you, right?
Yeah, this is something I'm always trying to, I'm working on new business cards right now.
Yeah, and that takes creativity, and you're constantly growing in that. Or you know, you're designing a new tie for Jon Austen.
Right.
And that's a creative process.
Yeah.
Can you give some advice? I mean, it's hard for people to stay creative. How do you try to keep yourself inspired to be creative in the business world?
Personally, and like with Jon Austen, like what I find works for me is to just kind of run with what I enjoy. So like if, you know, I started Jon Austen because I enjoy suits and accessories and neckwear and menswear. You know, I just try to see what a lot of other creative people are doing that maybe in similar fields, and then try to see how I can, you know, make that work for what I'm doing.
Keeping up with...
Yeah, follow other creative people, you know?
Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Like, you know, I know a lot of preachers listen to other preachers, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you're a business owner or wanting to be a business owner, follow other businesses. They don't have to be in your exact sphere, but, you know, the creativity from other things will bleed over.
And it challenges you.
It just challenges you, yeah. It does.
And sometimes you see something and you're like, man, why didn't I think of that first?
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah.
That's good because that sharpens you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, number 15. This one's a tough one.
Consistency of healthy change and adjustment.
I know that sounds like a paradox, but because you're being consistent, so that seems like the opposite of change. But we all know that there are times when you have to be able to pivot quickly. You have to be able to make a change quickly. And sometimes you have to be comfortable with health. That's why I put the word healthy in there, because not all change is healthy, right?
Right.
Just because something is changing doesn't mean it's good, but sometimes it is. Right. And great leaders know when to roll with change and when to resist change. And that one requires, we could take a whole hour just talking about knowing when it's good to change and when it's not. All right, number 16 is... consistency of humility. Yeah, so remaining humble. John, I don't care how many millions of dollars you have to stay humble. That's just how it works. All right, real quick, John, we're running out of time here, but grab your top 3 that you think are your weakest. I'm going to grab my top 3 real quick here. And people who are following along with us at ryanafrench.com, you can do this too. I do this pretty often, but I know for me that consistency of routine, number 5, is a struggle for me. Mm-hmm. I struggle with routine. I know that routine is healthy and I know that routine is good, but I just struggle with it for some reason. I kind of like not having routine, and that's unhealthy. Right. And so I'm constantly fighting against that. I hate to admit it on air, but number 9, consistency of authenticity is sometimes tough for me. Not that I'm trying to be fake, but I sometimes struggle with that pressure to say, hey, I'm great when I'm not great. Right. Or does that make any sense?
No, I understand.
Sometimes maybe being a little too guarded, maybe.
Yeah.
So that can be a struggle for me at times. And then number 15, consistency of healthy change and adjustment. I don't like change. Change is hard for me. And even when it's good, I don't always like it. And so I resist it sometimes to my detriment. Are you just perfect at all 16, John? You're
16.
100%?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I don't see anything in here.
Not a single issue?
Not one.
Would you like me to point yours out? No.
Yeah. Let's start at the top. At the beginning here, I think number 4 is something I can sometimes get in a funk where, like, you know, I need to be like, or I should be reading more about whatever it is, trying to be a business owner. Like, there's all kinds of material, and I do read a lot of things, but I kind of get in a comfort zone with my reading.
Sure.
And I don't push myself enough with trying to read about new things and new topics, so I can get very stuck in a loop of what kind of material I read.
Yeah, an echo chamber.
And then I had, I talked about earlier, but number 7, trying to get some better routines at home with the kids, because we're, me and Vera are always so busy. Like, it's very hard to get those routines that involve the whole family tighter. So that's something I feel like I definitely need to work on.
We all feel that way, yeah.
And number 15, it's funny, I wrote this one down too. You just mentioned it about change and everything. This isn't a spiritual element, but I just recently converted to Apple.
Yeah.
And it was something
Praise
that
God.
I'd been an Android user for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize I needed to make the change, even though I knew all the benefits of changing. It took me a long time to do it, but it's been great. This is a change that's actually been really good.
And you resisted it for a long time.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a lot of criticism from a lot of people too.
What's amazing though
Present
is
company, maybe not included.
Present. But when you jumped in, you just really jumped in. You went, you got the desktop, you got the laptop, you got the phone, you got the iPad. You went all in.
I've completely converted now.
Yeah, you were fully committed, it sure makes our family group text a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, when you were talking about those chat strands, from the messaging, like, it's been great.
Oh yeah, it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all have struggles. It's good to evaluate them. It's good to look at them over time and see where you're at. Well, hey guys, we'll be right back in just a second. I want to say thank you to all the listeners. We finally hit a milestone at Apostolic Voice. We jumped way over 10,000 downloads. So we jumped past the 10,000 download mark for Apostolic Voice. That's very exciting. Thank you for listening and being a part of this. And I pulled up this list of countries. It's been fascinating to see the different countries that listen to Apostolic Voice. Of course, the vast majority are here in the United States, but John, are you looking at this list? It's kind of crazy, isn't it? Now. We got our friends in Canada,
United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, thank you, United Arab Emirates. I'm not even 100% sure where you are, but we're so glad you're listening. Germany. We've got the Philippines, which I know we have a massive. That one doesn't surprise me too much because we have a massive contingent of apostolics in the Philippines, millions of Filipino apostolics. So thank you for listening in the Philippines. We love you guys. United Kingdom. Great Britain. Glad that you're listening. Australia. All right.
I wish so bad I could do an Australian accent.
I know. I was thinking I might try
to bust something out.
Both of us did, didn't we? I could tell we both thought we were going to do it for a minute.
Yeah, I was like, I want to see if Ryan's going to do it.
We chickened out, didn't we? Yeah, I could. I felt it. I felt the tension, like we were going to go for it, and then we didn't.
Yep.
France, our homeland that we've never been to, or
France, yeah.
Kuwait, that one's a little surprising. New Zealand. Awesome place. I'd love to visit New Zealand sometime. Yes. And then Russia. So, okay, we're going to try something. I don't know if it's going to work, but Vera, Jonathan's wife, is from Russia.
Yep. Her her maiden name was Kelbatrov.
And why do I have 3 numbers for? I don't know which number is hers, but we're going to try one of them.
She's gone through like 3 different cell phones.
I'm not going to read her number over the air. Is that the right number, John? Can you tell me? Do you know?
That's not it.
All right, so we're going to go to this one. Is that the right number?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna do something cool. What part of Russia did you say?
I honestly don't remember.
Is it Kazakhstan or something like that?
I think she was born there. I don't know if any of her family still lives there, but I think she was born in Kazakhstan.
And she was born there, and then she came over when
she's like 3.
Like 3. Mm-hmm. We're gonna see if she'll answer the phone.
Yeah.
And if she will, I just want her to say, I want her to welcome all of our Russian friends that are listening. Literally tens of
millions,
tens and tens of them. We don't know how many tens there are, but we know they're out there. Now, you warned her I was going to call, right? So she might ignore my phone call.
I did try to give her a heads up.
Vera, it'll be much more embarrassing if I have to have you on the podcast not answering the phone than if you just answer them.
Hello?
Hello.
There she is.
Sister Vera,
Hi.
How are you doing?
Yes. I'm good.
I'm here with your husband.
Hi, babe.
And
Hi.
we're talking about leadership, and we're also celebrating the fact that Apostolic Voice busted past the 10,000 mark of downloads, people listening. And I discovered that I've got tens and tens and tens of hundreds of people listening in Russia. I just wondered real quick, can you greet everyone that listens to Apostolic Voice in Russia real quick? Just give them a quick shout out and tell them to go to iTunes or something and give us a review.
Yes.
She's so mad at me right now.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, just greet
Say
our
God
Russian
bless.
listeners and just say thank you for listening to Apostolic Voice, and just anything you want to say to them, preach to them or something.
Oh, okay. Well, my Russian is actually really broken. So, здравствуйте, все listeners. Мы хотим вас сказать спасибо, что вы слушаете этот подкаст с братом Ryan French. И, пожалуйста, пойти на веб-сайт и дайте ему thumbs up. Excuse, что я так по-русски немножко не так сильно отлично говорю, но мы хотим вам сказать спасибо и, пожалуйста, share его информацию с всеми. Спасибо.
Awesome.
Thanks, babe.
Thank you so much, Vera. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was so cool.
Yeah, I know some words. I know how to say a couple of things.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really am grateful that people would listen anywhere. But and then we have a contingent in Ireland. Isn't that cool? There's
That's
another
really
place
cool.
I've always
That would be really
wanted to
fun
visit.
to go to Ireland.
Are you and Vera ever going to go to Russia and visit?
It's really expensive.
Yeah, I imagine. South Africa. Got South Africa, Puerto Rico, Romania, Jamaica, Nigeria, Singapore. A lot of apostolics in Singapore and Jamaica. Kenya, Sweden, Austria, Italy, Argentina, Norway, India, Hungary, Brazil, Ghana, China, Papua New Guinea, Turkey, Japan, Barbados. Where's Barbados, John? Any idea?
Barbados, isn't it? It's an island nation.
Isn't that like a
goodness.
vacation spot?
Yeah.
Isn't that one of those places
Yeah.
people go on,
Yeah. A lot of pirates.
A lot of pirates. Mexico, Cameroon, Trinidad and Tobago,
Congo,
Congo, Peru, Ecuador, Zimbabwe.
British Virgin Islands.
Yeah, Uganda, Belgium.
I'd like to go to Belgium.
Yes, Perot,
Yeah, Peru.
the famous Agatha Christie character, Belgium.
And I love World War II history stuff, so it'd be really cool to go to Belgium.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Tanzania. I'm assuming I hope I'm pronouncing that semi-correctly.
Tanzania?
Is it Tanzania?
Tanzania? That's how I've always said it.
Tanzania. I have no idea.
Tanzania. I don't know.
I apologize.
I guess just wherever you live in the world is how you're going to say it.
Yes. Malaysia, Republic of Moldova.
My goodness.
I don't know,
I don't know where that
but I'm
is.
going to look it up. If you're from the Republic of Moldova, would you please write us or let us know and tell us a little bit about yourself, because that sounds fascinating. Switzerland, another awesome place. Indonesia, Spain. By the way, I'd love to go to Spain. I was reading about the food in Spain. And
real quick, Moldova is an Eastern European country and former Soviet republic.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's what it says right here.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Google.
That's fascinating. So Indonesia, Spain, and then the Netherlands.
Wow.
Netherlands. So that's pretty awesome. We're excited about that. So thank you to everyone for listening. Jon, I want you to give everyone a quick chance to go to your website or wherever they need to go to find out about getting a custom suit made.
Yeah. So if you can find all my information if you go to fringethread.net, and I'm on Instagram at Jon Austen Custom Clothier.
You're so trendy, Jon.
I like Instagram.
Oh,
I really do.
I hate Instagram.
I don't really use my Facebook very much anymore.
That's because you're young. It's ridiculous.
But I like Instagram. But yeah, I'm at Jon Austen Custom Clothier, and my website is fringethread.net.
Is it clothier or clother?
Clothier.
Clother? It is. It's not clothier?
It's spelled clothier, but it's said clothier.
So I've been saying it wrong all this time.
If you've been saying clothier, it's wrong.
Well, that's embarrassing. So clother.
Clothier.
So I just finished picking out my second custom suit with you. Mm-hmm. It's not that I got too fat for my last one.
Of course not.
It's just that the suit shrunk or something. I don't know how that works.
That's why I tell everybody.
I know it's the crazy.
Dry clean them. You don't. Yeah, you got to dry clean and let them.
I know. I don't know if I left it out in the rain. I have no idea. But it's not that I got any bigger. The suit just got smaller. No. But anyway, so I've just finished picking. I'm very excited about my custom suit. It's kind of like I did kind of a strange blend of like, what would you call that, Jon? Like brown and black?
Yeah, it's like a brownish black. It's a square. So
it almost looks like houndstooth, but it's not.
Yeah, it's not. But it's like a square pattern, like a very tight square pattern with a lot of colors in it. It's really cool.
So it could kind of match a lot of things.
Yeah, the cool thing is you can wear brown or black shoes.
Exactly.
So that's what's really neat about it.
Exactly. And also the cool thing is if you're like me and you've bought a lot of suits over the years, I'll buy $100 suit and then I have to spend $100 getting it tailored to fit me properly because, I'm just one of those people. I have ridiculously short arms. And so, I buy it off the rack. It never fits me right. And one of the super fun things I was so excited about is you've got all these custom linings that you can do. So you can get custom lining on the inside. It's very fun picking that out. And you can do custom stitching. You can even do custom things that I didn't even do with the pants, right, Jon? Like you've got these
the side tabs
where you don't wear a belt if you don't want to, which is really fun. Get to pick out your thread, your threading, and the wool count and all that.
And one thing, this suit that you haven't done before, which is really cool, is the lapel hole that we did the style of that.
Yeah,
so it's a very custom look. It's really custom to do.
Yeah, I can't wait
to tweak things like that.
And I also did a shirt. Because you do shirts as well. A lot of people don't know that, but you can do custom shirts, which if you've never had a custom dress shirt, and the thing is, Jon, I was thinking about it. I was pricing them. Your shirts are super competitive price-wise. I mean, you can't hardly buy a shirt off the rack for much cheaper than what you charge. No. And if you've never had a custom shirt, there's just something about it just feels, because it's custom to your size. So, everything just fits you perfectly, and it's really nice. So I'm excited. And plus, you can pick a shirt that matches your suit perfectly, which is a lot of fun. It's also fun being able to pick how you want the pockets to be and the buttons, everything down to the buttons.
Yep.
You can choose yourself.
And even all the way down to the button threads.
Yeah, the thread. Yeah. And the design of the pockets, whether you want pockets, no pockets, whether you want double vent or single vent.
What's really cool with getting to build a custom suit, not just for me personally, like when I do my own suits, but when I do it for like you and like a client, is getting to watch them get excited about and then watch it grow, and then when it's finally there, like you're committed to that look. So like you've locked it all in, and then they get to see it grow. It's like commissioning an artist to paint you something, and then you get to see it when it's done. It's exciting. Yeah. So it's really cool to see everything come together.
So speaking of that, when do I get to see my custom suit?
I'm going to say probably about 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. So
maybe 3 to 4.
Okay. Awesome.
Within a month.
So people can they can write you online. They can reach out to you if they want to do a custom suit anywhere in the world. You can find a way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a long distance thing, if you have a local tailor that you work with that you'd want to get your measurements taken and send it to me, I would do it like that too.
So I know guys, I've got a lot of friends, like they buy suits on like Indochino and stuff like that. But here's the deal. Jon's different than that, because in the end, a lot of these big corporate, quote unquote, custom clothier places. You know, in the end, you know, they've got you measuring yourself now, or they're doing this weird internet measurement
virtual
thing,
things,
and it's like, it doesn't come out right. I know guys have had to do it 4, 5, 6 times to get it right.
Well, and the biggest thing that you sacrifice with things like that is the quality of the material that you get
Yes,
back.
and you're not getting good quality materials. So everything's everything's top notch. I don't know where top notch came from, but everything's top notch with Jon.
Hey, I would have run with that. If you just gone with it, I would have been like, hey.
So, Jumbo, if you're interested in a custom suit, you know, it'd be a great thing to do for a birthday gift, a Father's Day gift. If you have a family member who loves suits and loves to dress up for church or for business, do something special for them. I know they'll love it. So reach out to Jon, and we will be right back. All right, Jon, this is a brand new segment. I've never, ever done this on Apostolic Voice.
All right.
But I've been wanting to for a long, long time.
So I get to be the very first one.
You get to be the first one. This is going to be an ongoing segment because I like food.
Epic. So do I.
I like food. And so I'm calling. Now I got to get the segment correct. I told it to you earlier. Let me see if I can get it right. Segment is called
Good.
Good.
Okay. Good.
No. Gross. Good.
Great.
Or great.
Or great.
Gross, good, or great. How is that for an introduction to a brand new podcast segment?
It's awesome. I love it.
Gross, good, or great. So here's what we do. Basically, we try an unusual, either new food or just an unusual food that maybe people haven't tried before,
Sure.
a product.
Or like an off-brand of something.
Yeah, and it has to
famous?
be easily accessible, something that most people can get around the country. And it's a scale from 1 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 through 4 is gross,
Okay.
right? No, 1 through 3. 1 through 3, I got to get my own segment right. 1 through 3 is gross. If you give it a 1, 2, or 3, that's gross.
Okay.
1 being the worst.
The worst.
Okay. And then 4, 5, 6, and 7 are good. So if something is good, that means it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can give it a higher 1. You can give it a 7. And then 8, 9, and 10 is great.
Okay.
10 being the absolute best, obviously. So
Sure.
today we have something fun. Now,
I guess I just need to be really happy that you didn't bring in those like Russian roulette jelly beans.
oh, like the jelly beans, they have like dirt flavor or something that the kids do. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that. So if you've been around our church, you know that in the offices we always have gummy bears. Dad is obsessed with gummy bears.
And when he says gummy bears, he doesn't mean like a bag, like a little bag. He means like multiple large party-sized bags.
Right.
That you can put a sleeping bag in.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleeping bag.
And he's kind of particular about what kind. He likes the
Haribo?
Is it
Haribo?
Haribo?
Haribo.
Haribo. Haribo. You know, it comes in the gold bag. You've seen it at Walmart or Target, wherever you go. If you're bougie, you go to Target.
Yeah.
For all the folks like me, we just keep hanging out at Walmart. So we buy gummy bears like en masse for our church. And my wife and I were doing one of our church Walmart runs, and somehow we accidentally grabbed the Gold Bears Sour edition. Sour. Okay. So, Jon, you've never had these, right?
I've never had that, no. And I haven't even had like a Sour Patch Kids in years, so I don't know what to expect.
Wow.
Something like this.
So you may pass out.
Yeah, it might kill me.
So we're going to, what a great gig is this, right? I've always thought you'd be a food critic. What an amazing job. You just try food for a living and write about it. So this is a great way for me to bring food into ministry. Yeah. This is just a shameless way to just try more food for fun. So we had this one convenient. So Jon, I'm going to let you do the honors. You're going to go first.
Okay, let's see here.
Okay. Now I don't want you to don't tell me your rating. Okay. Are you going to only do one at a time?
Oh, no, I'll do a couple.
All right. Can you get the full effect with just one?
Probably not.
Have you ever eaten a gummy bear before?
Yes, and I actually grab like 10 at a time. So
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because
but sour ones make me nervous.
and you have to chew into the mic so people can know that we're actually doing this.
Okay.
All right. So
All right.
you go. All right.
All right.
All right. He's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Now I'm gonna try now. Oh,
They're chewy. They're really chewy,
praise God.
which I like that.
Mm-hmm. So it's got the chewiness.
Yep. I don't like soft, like really soft candy.
Okay. So my first impression is that it's really not all that sour.
It's not as much as I
Right?
thought it was going to be.
It's actually more sweet.
It is. It's not like punchy sour. Wow.
It's almost like they're just dusted with sugar with like just a. Are you grabbing more? That's a good sign, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not a 1.
No, not one at all.
So they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. Most people have had the I don't know how to pronounce it. Haribo.
Haribo.
Gold Bear, the gold bears and the gold. You get it in the gold bag. And those are good. So let's start with this question: are the sour gummy bears better than the normal, not sour ones that everyone's had?
I think they have more flavor. Yeah.
So they're better.
I mean, not just because they have the sugar, but I feel like the overall like fruity flavors are stronger. in
Yeah, and
these.
they're a little bigger. I think.
Yeah,
I think they're a little bigger than
they're
the.
a little beefier for sure.
Okay, so they're chewy, not real sour. I have to admit, in my rating, I'm going to have to factor in the fact that I like sour candy, and I was hoping this was going to be a little more sour, have a little more kick to it, and it's really not as sour as I would like it to be.
No, I was thinking like Sour Patch Kids.
So it's
sour.
gonna lose a something in my rating, and I mean this rating, when you stamp an Apostolic Voice rating on a food, and I mean if we give it a bad rating, sales are gonna plummet.
Oh yeah,
all over the
Walmart
world.
won't even sell this anymore.
Yeah, Walmart might. So this is a big responsibility that we have weighing on our shoulders, and we
With
need to
great
make sure
power.
that with great power comes great responsibility. So. But we also have to be honest. We're burdened down with the fact that we have to give our honest appraisal.
Yeah, I think my ratings. I think I've locked it in now.
Okay, so you've locked it in. I'm going to try one more before I can.
I might as well try one more.
I mean,
too.
you have to.
Not like
We
that.
want to be thorough.
Yeah,
We wouldn't want to.
it's like when you try a bag of chips to see if they're stale. You don't try one. You try like 20.
Okay. All right.
I like it.
So let's start with this. We'll do the 1 through 10 last, okay? But we've got the three tiers: gross, good, great. Does your rating fall in the gross, good, or great category?
Good.
Ah, okay. All right. So your number.
I'm at 5.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And only because I can't eat a lot of sour candy, so like it bothers my mouth, so I don't enjoy to eat it.
Oh,
And So
okay.
I won't ever buy that.
So you're intrinsically biased against sour candy.
Yes.
As a whole.
As a whole. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like it. I mean, so that's why I put it just above gross, because I like it. But
So
I
you're
won't-
right
I
in the
won't
middle.
eat this. Yeah.
You're right in the middle with a 5.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I also am giving this a good rating, but I'm going to go higher than 5. I'm going to give it a. Oh, this is heavy, but I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
I'm going to put it at the top of
Top of
good.
good.
Not quite great, but it is good. And the reason I'm not giving it an 8, because I'm different. I like sour candy.
Right.
And so I'm actually not going into great territory because it's not sour enough.
It's not sour enough.
It's not sour enough. It's a little too sweet for me. I wish it had a little more of a kick.
Sure.
Good. I mean, I definitely would eat them. I will eat them.
Yeah.
I'm quite certain that I will. And all right, so that was the very first installment of Gross, Good,
Great.
or Great.
Love it.
Hey guys, we love you. Thank you for being here at Apostolic Voice. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Actually, we won't see you, but we'll talk to you next time.